Kakos Industries is ad-free. To help keep it that way, head to kakosindustries.com/Patreon and consider becoming a member today.
What you are about to hear is something you can't get anywhere else. At least not for free.
Hello and welcome to the Kakos Industries corporate shareholder announcements. At Kakos Industries, we help our clients and everyone everywhere, yes, even there, to do evil better. I am CEO Corandeeth III. Shareholders, we received an outpouring of support and concern after the broadcast last time where we experienced an outpouring of novelty snakes. And one real one. I am told that I was never in any danger and that the snake was not venomous. I looked it up on my own time and I'm pretty sure that fucker was venomous. When I complained to the snake handler who had previously captured that snake, he said, well, at least it was well trained. At which point I decided to stop arguing lest I start throwing hands. I talked to Grace about it and why it was so important for me to have it and open it, and she said it was from some of the board. Not all of the board, just some. She refused to say how many, she refused to say who, and she refused to say why. Knowing the board, it's possible that it was nothing more than a high idea brought on by some enhanced recreational numbing agent. All the same, I will be refusing to open any packages from anyone for the foreseeable future, at least during the broadcasts. Today's broadcast is coming to you from a talking fish decoration. You may not have noticed it on your wall, but when you did, you had the subtle impression that maybe it had been there much longer than you realized. Did you hang it up yourself? Was it a gift of some sort? You were unsure. But when the time came, you had the undeniable urge to press its buttons, and so you did. When the fish turned to look at you from the placard it was affixed to, it looked at you with deadly sincerity. Then it opened its mouth, and you started to hear these announcements. I am told that the audio quality is a bit thin, especially if you get too far away, and there is some sort of grinding sound inside as though gears are being made to behave in ways they were not designed for. All the same, you should hear me clearly. This radio comes to us from a collaboration between our division of Fishin' and Mounting Is Us, a company that specializes in mounting things. Usually trophies, but I understand they rent out the couch in the office for experimental filmmaking endeavors as well. I should emphasize that this broadcast is only for Kakos Industries shareholders. If you aren't a Kakos Industries shareholder, then I really need to caution you against getting any closer to that fish. It's a bit larger than you thought it was, isn't it? Seems like it might be able to just pop that head of yours right off your shoulders with a swift bite. I'd get as far away as possible. We recently had the Festival of Self-Love. This is a festival where we remind ourselves that we love ourselves. And typically we do this by, taking care of business, solo style. We like the element of surprise and the ability to be spontaneous with it, so we don't tell you when it's going to happen, other than that it will happen, and the feeling of satisfaction that comes from it will be thorough and breathtaking and simultaneous with all the other shareholders. For many of us, it was right around the time we finished our lunch, coinciding with the satisfaction of the delicious meal. Then, the urge became overwhelming and business was accomplished. The award for most embarrassing O-face goes to Judith Cayley, who looks a bit like she's smelling something bad when she's about to arrive. Please don't feel self-conscious, Ms. Cayley, or any of our other shareholders. While we do monitor this festival we all experience alone and privately, closely, we do so with an anthropological interest. It's not sexual. Unless we're also shareholders, In which case, girlfriend same. Coming up, we have the Pajama Festival, the Festival of Brightly Colored Hats, the Festival of Toast, and the CEO Festival of the Dance. More than likely, the hat, pajama, and toast elements will be experienced as one event again, with an emphasis on the pajamas, which seem to be the most popular part. The CEO Festival of the Dance will be just another trial in a long road of difficult times I have to experience. But I did add one personal request to the event. This year, we're going to have lava. I didn't specify how it would need to be incorporated. I just felt like adding lava. We'll see what happens. Our Cacophonia Music Festival just had Outsider Music Night. Members of the audience who had never played instruments before were invited on stage to perform. The only necessary requirement was commitment and a lack of traditional experience. It was a time to be sure, with many of the more hip members of the audience raving about the revolutionary tones and unexpected textures. Shareholders, I don't mean to change the tone of the announcements too much, but have you noticed that, well, it seems like everyone in the building is just way too chill for some reason? Just today, just since I got in earlier, it's been pretty obvious. I don't feel chill. Soundman? Soundman's feeling pretty chill. I have no problem with people being chill. In fact, being chill is probably ideal. But there's also this red light in one of the security rooms with the word chill under it, and it's been flashing and spinning and making all kinds of noise. Maybe we're too chill? We've been looking into it, but no one really seems all that worried about it. Except me, I guess. Yes, Soundman, I am aware of what that says about me. I did manage to convince one of my support staff to look it up, for shits and giggles, in the archives. I have never seen someone survive being in the archives this long. At the same time, this person is definitely not in a hurry to get me any answers. I hope to have an update for you soon. I have news about Junior's Mind Palace. He took some time off of working on psychedelics to cure the funk. The funk, while also being a musical genre and a general term for nastiness, was also a specific illness that occurred during a collaboration between our division of turning it around, backing it up, and hitting me with it, and our division of infectious attitudes. There was a dance-off where people started to notice a foul aroma emanating from pretty much every part of their bodies. We called this the funk for obvious reasons. Employees who came down with the funk were sent home and have been working remotely regardless of their need to be in person or hands-on because of the funk. Junior found a protein combination that reverses the cellular damage caused by the particularly dank grooves, which has allowed us to bring more workers back into the office, particularly where they need to be in their labs. We gave Junior some more minds to include in his psychedelic mind palace as a reward, but there was one issue. One individual was either unaware of the matmos in their body or failed to disclose for other reasons, but due to the connection most individuals with the matmos share, there were some interesting side effects. Junior's mind palace swung out of control, generating kinds of kaleidoscopic infinities that no one, even Junior, was prepared for. We had to give that individual a trip-killing drug, also of Junior's design, to bring things back under control. Afterward, Junior came up from the trip and did some work on the device that controls the group hallucination, saying that he saw the answer to a problem in a mirror image of a mirror image of a mirror image of the inner child of the collective subconscious. We'll be screening people more thoroughly for matmos in the future. I have news about Forrest. Apparently, the animals in the forest where he's been hiding have unionized. We are unsure what that means at this stage. We weren't paying them in the first place. I don't think anyone else was either. Maybe that will change. Maybe it just has more to do with collective bargaining when it's time to do anything with the forest itself. Forrest, the person, has still been moving much too quickly and changing camp too often for us to catch him. I just got an update from the employee that I sent to the archives to look into the chill situation. Apparently, there are a number of things that could cause this situation. The most likely option is a vibe shift. Now, I'm not sure how we would have attained a vibe shift. I feel like vibe shifts are hard to come by and usually require some extremely bad luck or some expert engineering. We will need to look into what might have changed the vibes. I have some news from Middy, one of the Tabitha clones who I've become close friends with recently. She tells me the other Tabitha, the one she's actually cloned from, ran away and joined a commune for a while several decades ago. It was an evil commune trying to do evil in accordance with nature. A pure evil, a spiritual evil. The commune was called the Ones Who Cast Shadows, or the Ones for short. We've gotten in touch with them and they do remember her, but they say that there was an ideological falling out, something to do with Tabitha Prime's twin wanting to continue improving evil scientifically instead of using diet and meditation. I know that all of you have probably been wondering about my own introspective journey, trying to find the answers about my grandfather. Last time, Junior produced a version of Delirium that had too little terror to be meaningful in any way. Well, we had another go at it, and the experience was not what I was hoping for. We set our intentions and went into it the right way, but this version had what Junior called a little added terror. I should have known better than to do anything with this version. I should have known that a little added terror would affect each person differently. And all the same, I took it. It's never really anyone's intention to go into a psychedelic experience looking to freak out. Freaking out was a serious problem when psychedelics first found mainstream usage some number of decades ago. You don't want to be afraid. You want to face your fears. Those are two different ideas. Well, after about 20 minutes of come-up time, we were back in the caves, except the caves were coming right at us. Junior thought this was hilarious. I was losing it. I could feel the answers my grandfather expected me to find rushing towards me like an angry dog. I was in the caves, but the caves were chasing me. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of being chased by a cave that you are currently inside of, but I would not recommend it. I was screaming and crying and who knows what else. When Junior had had enough laughing at me in this vulnerable state, he gave me something that ended the trip immediately. If I was in that state for hours like some people have experienced, well, I don't know if I'd be doing these announcements right now. I'd probably still be recovering. So, adding fear didn't make anything any easier. And once again, I feel like I need a break. As many of you know, there are more Tabithas than just the clones that I have to worry about. Why there are Tabithas that are not clones is still not something that has been adequately explained to me, but I hope someday to understand. All the same, there is a faction of people who have taken on the name of Tabitha and work at Kakos Industries who seem to be a part of some mission to produce an heir by any means necessary. Well, almost any means necessary. Anyway, I've been recently keeping them busy and preventing them from conspiring too much by making their lives harder, and by harder I mean implementing elements of bondage and kink. At Kakos Industries, I feel like we are surrounded by the vestiges of kink at all times. Evil loves its chains and its latex and its bruises. Some people wear suits made out of leather to work. This is just background noise to most of us at this point. It doesn't register as sexual until you really think about it, which may explain why I've needed to do some research to find interesting ways to both entertain the Tabithas with some sort of submissive experience, and also keep them so busy that they aren't conspiring to do something weird to try to get me to produce an heir with one of them. This time, I have instituted a rule for all Tabithas that they need to wear really tight skirts, like it is tough for them to walk. I do apologize to the few employees who are named Tabitha and are not a part of this organization who may have been caught up in the new rule as collateral damage. All the same, the Tabithas of all genders have been waddling everywhere, barely able to separate their thighs as they go. It has slowed their movement speed, making many of them stay late to finish their actual work. Once again, the conspiring is down. I should mention that not every Tabitha is a big kinkster. For some of them, these obstacles I've thrown in their way have been more annoying than anything else. But I think I see them coming around. Whether or not that is going to cause any long-term consequences is not known yet. I will say that the Tabitha clones have seen fit to ignore this rule, and they have enough clout here at Kakos Industries to get away with it. Middy is more of a drawstring pants kind of person anyway, and we don't have that kind of relationship. Anyway, this move has been a big success, even if it has been a problem for some unrelated people named Tabitha. It's temporary. I'll have to find something else. It's now time for today's Q&A segment. Today's question is, where can I get really fucking high? Easy answer. Go to the top floor. Right. Of course, I know that's not what you meant. We do have the Division of Psychedelia, which is always trying out new stuff, especially now that they have Junior feeding them new leads weekly. If head movies aren't your thing, then the vending machine on floor 40 has some of the most potent uppers and downers you've ever experienced. You will need to sign some release forms. Be careful, especially if you're important at all to our operations here at Kakos Industries. I have news from the Division of Erotic Experiences. They have prepared their presentations regarding a game that gets nerd slayed, a device that is supposed to maximize pornographic consumption, and a new romantic arrangement that is a bit like polyamory, but also a bit like a video game guild. The game that gets nerds laid is awfully similar to your standard tabletop RPGs. I feel as if this one banks too much on the nerds already wanting to get laid, which is what brings them to the game in the first place. The device that maximizes pornographic consumption is a bit too close to something we've done in the past. It involves some VR headsets feeding the porn directly into the brain. The trouble is that the human mind can only handle so much stimulation before it kind of runs out of the chemicals that feel nice. So we would need to invent a workaround for that. The polyamory arrangement is interesting and works a bit like this. There's an apartment with 4 to 8 bedrooms. Each of the people living in the apartment is more interested in video games than basically anything else in life. There is an extra person who likes sucking people off under tables. That person is in a relationship with each of the others individually, and mostly, everyone's needs are being met. I asked about other emotional considerations, and they pointed to a section of the screen that said, miscellaneous unstructured cuddling. Maybe they can workshop a couple of these. We usually consider any non-standard pairings to be our realm because, well, the other team has taken a very strong stance on how it sees the correct way to pair off. we're interested to see where this goes. I've just gotten an update about the chill situation and the vibe shift. I am told that we are apparently experiencing a high level of vibes according to some instruments we have that can detect that sort of thing. The vibes are off the charts at the moment. This is definitely unusual for a company that specializes in evil. I don't think we've ever had vibes this high before. I think I'm even smelling some incense. Wait, Soundman, put that out. It's going to give me a headache. No, I can't just chill. I can't chill my way out of a headache, Soundman. Never mind. We're still looking for the source of the vibes. Meredith Gorgoro, the overseer in our Hell labor camp, had some news for us, although she seemed a bit frustrated about it. You will likely recall that they have found crystals in the caves in the Hell labor camp that seem to contain a capture of moving images from a time long ago or perhaps very far away. Anyway, Meredith has informed us that someone licked one of the crystals and saw terrible, floating fish monsters for about an hour. This is interesting information, and we are curious to know more. Apparently, a complete trip report is in the works. Every detail matters. We're concerned that licking the crystals may cause damage to the crystals, as some pieces may be consumed. Meredith has forbidden the laborers from licking any more crystals. We'll see if they follow her instructions. The Division of Kaiju Battle Reenactment has recently reenacted the Endless Paperclips versus the Massive Fastener. The Endless Paperclips originally resulted from an automation experiment that went seriously wrong, and then somehow found sentience in the process. The paperclips all started to work together, as though they were nanobots, and became a large monster. The Massive Fastener, on the other hand, resulted from an organization with too much paper, trying to keep it all in one place. They needed the fastener to want to hold all of the paper, which again created sentience. The reenactment followed the original fight closely, clearly being familiar with all of the eyewitness accounts. While the Endless Paperclips lost untold paperclips, there were always more. The Massive Fastener just couldn't keep up. The division is working out some issues in their planning, however, as an audience member got a paperclip in their eye. Not ideal. The division of figuring out what all of these keys go to has found the key to the toy safe where Ronald Trudeau put his social security card when he was 8. Fortunately, he had a passport and has still been able to find employment without it. Still nice to have, though. So apart from the Matmos snafu with Junior's Mind Palace, there have been some other updates as the Matmos pools slowly recombine. The Matmos-affected individuals here at Kakos Industries have been behaving more strangely than usual, and we have experienced a slightly higher level of sabotage than we're used to. This includes things around my office, like my desk chair, which really only a handful of people have access to, including Clarissa and Hedera, my liaisons to the Matmos. They denied knowing anything about what I was talking about. Kimmy says that she and the Division of Dams and Water Management are looking into the situation. Speaking of strange, evil substances that seem to have minds, I am told that some people in the division working with the Donut, that strange organism I pulled from deep within the Matmos, have tried to ingest pieces of the donut to see if they can commune with it like people do with the Matmos. So far, the effects have been very strange. The movement and the thinking of the people affected with the stuff has slowed down considerably. We are unsure what the long-term consequences will be at this stage or if the process is reversible. These people have been able to communicate with the donut, but the messages so far have been short and uninteresting, and they take weeks to finish. I have some news from the Division of Secret Societies. There is a new version of the Miss Belle of the Ball pageant, and we are told that it is by far less conservative than it was. More unusual haircuts have been seen. Different body types are being encouraged. Winona Grimble, our person inside the organization, is apparently working from within to change things through sheer force of will. She has certainly developed some credibility within the organization. We are curious to see where these developments go. I have just been told that we have been able to narrow down the source of the vibes to Floor 37. There's nothing on the list of divisions on Floor 37 that would indicate anything to do with vibes, but all the same, employees on that floor seem to have completely stopped working and have opted instead to lie on beanbag chairs or play hacky sack. We've been doing drug tests all day, and while I can't say that everyone is completely sober, I will say that there isn't anything out of the ordinary going on in that realm. It's time for today's Employee Spotlight. Today we're highlighting Peregrine Adelina from the Division of Marketing Challenges for selling glitter toothpaste. Did we need to sell glitter toothpaste? Well, the short answer is no, but the longer answer is we had some and we needed to move it. Adelina was able to devise a marketing campaign that made enough people want glittery teeth to sell every last package. Then we closed the shell company and obscured its origins so the lawsuits will never catch up with us. Thank you for your hard work, Peregrine Adelina. They say that Evil once invented an exercise fad that made everyone unable to recognize themselves. This is things we're taking credit for now. Today we're taking credit for blasting, unloading, and living with the consequences. The first two things might seem too intuitive to have been invented by anyone, sure, but that last one, that last one is on us. Be careful with your doubts. Osiris has won today's Ruin a Life drawing. As a result, the life of Osiris's nemesis will be ruined. That nemesis is L, like the letter L. We gave the Wheel of Misery a craven spin, and it landed on the space for slower. I think this one speaks for itself. While a meditative pace can be a useful thing sometimes, in this case, L, like the letter L, will be much too slow to get things done in a timely fashion. For evil measure, Osiris will be 13% faster, which brings its own consequences. Congratulations on the win and best of luck. The Damnation and Ruination Squad, that team tasked with carrying out the Wheel of Misery's dictates, is currently doing their job around Kakos and elsewhere wearing a midnight snack. It's like whatever they could find in the fridge and they just rubbed it all over their bodies. I've put a cleanup crew permanently on the staff here at Kakos Industries to follow them around. If you can't cure the disease, you have to treat the symptoms. Shareholders, I've just been told that we've found the source of the vibe shift. There's an unauthorized vibe reactor operating in the Division of Effort. I'm not sure why they would need such a thing in that division. I've already sent the instruction to switch it off safely. I am receiving some pushback on account of people generally liking being chill. It's unauthorized. We need to turn it off. I'm getting all kinds of messages that just say stuff like, "Come on, man," and "You're harshing my mellow." Shut the thing off, you useless fuckers. This brings us to the end of today's broadcast, shareholders. In order to destroy the radio, you will need to take the fish off of the placard in front of you and release it into whatever body of water is closest to you. I have also just been told that the vibe reactor has safely shut down, which has seemingly reduced people's chill. In fact, their anxieties seem to be catching up with them. Soundman has started to sweat slightly. I apologize to anyone who is having hours worth of worries catch up with them right now, but this was necessary. Perhaps there is something we can learn from the reactor that we can implement in an intentional and safe way, then we can bring it back. Or bring it back to certain areas. I've just been told that the person I had working in the archives all day has exploded into a bloody, gory mess. The numbers are next. 17, 32, 45, 90, 81, 56, 76, 45, 34, 45, 46, 44, 44, 4, 44, 4.
Industries is written and produced by Conrad Miszuk, who is also the voice of Corin Deeth and the composer of the music. The introductions and credits are read by Ryan L. Jenkins. A mushroom thigh tattoo. Find transcriptions and more at kakosindustries.com. That's KAKOSINDUSTRIES.com. Visit store.kakosindustries.com for merchandise and get wonderful benefits by becoming a subscription donor at kakosindustries.com/Patreon. Join our community at kakosindustries.com/Discord and follow us on social media. Fan art really makes our day. Drop us a line for whatever reason at inquiries@kakosindustries.com.
Special thanks to our esteemed shareholders Christina Kirkland, Brian Slizzard-Becker, and Churlington Beescoat III, Esquire. Also thanks to honored employees Calico, Carson Lucas, and Day the Druid, who dared to dream, and even though it didn't work out, we're all the better for knowing. The division of beanies, booties, and construction projects that are probably too large for yarn, directed by Theo Cornett, has 76 different designs for knit shower curtains, ranging from nausea-inducing 70s oranges to forest green. The division of obscure vintage technology, directed by Craig Sizz, has acquired a reel-to-reel tape machine that only plays tapes that count down seductively from 10. And when 0 hits, you finish, guaranteed. The division of subtle efficiency increases, directed by Daniel R. Smith, has increased efficiency by reducing 3 sentences from form TC87Q3. The division of Kakos Cafeteria Reviews, directed by Seth and Josh, has reviewed Extra Long Kebab. The plate is 1 meter long. The kebab is even longer. 17 out of 23. The division of Improbable Cookbooks, directed by Hayden Neff, has been working on meat-based plant recipes. Everything is made from meat, but is attempting to emulate a plant in some way. The division of Villainous Introspection, directed by Sarah, is considering what body positions make them feel the most evil. Currently, they are experimenting with steepling one's fingers. The division of Animal Stacking, directed by the one true Dave, has stacked 100 scallops in a single column. The division of lesser-known napping locations, directed by Sassmaster J, has recently taken a nap in the center of the central tramway, where no tram or maintenance worker ever steps foot. The division of Unnecessary Competitions, directed by Mike A, has organized a competition to see who can restring and tune a piano the fastest. The division of Deeth Divination, directed by Jack Delancey, watched Corin scratch behind his knee. They tell us the summer heat may never end. The division of Neural Nihilism, directed by Nish Bichojana, has broadcast a signal that made everyone forget what that thing in their hand was for about 30 seconds. A lot of cell phones were broken that day. Our esteemed shareholders, honored employees, division heads, and other Patreon patrons are the best. If you want to thank you in the credits, your own division, or other great rewards that help to keep this show running, please head to kakosindustries.com/Patreon. That's Patreon, Patreon.
Doing evil can take a lot out of you. Describe the dream you're currently having to a friend.